as one, knowing that there's only love, joy, and peace for us to experience in our lifetime, regardless of appearances. Regardless of what's going on in the outer, we know that we can always come home to ourselves, home to that one presence and one power active in the universe and in our lives that we call God the Good, omnipotence. So let's take that idea, that thought, that truth into prayer, knowing that there is only one presence and one power, knowing that we are here for a holy purpose, breathing into our own unique expression of that purpose, to love, to laugh, to be a light, to be creative in our finances, in our relationships, in every way we express ourselves in the world, with assurance that we are always in the right place at the right time, right now. So it is, and so we let it be. My name's Reverend Mindy Tucker, and I serve as co-minister of Unity of Mesa, along with Reverend Nickie Golden, who is giving the message today. Joining me on the platform for announcements is Lily Wong. Yep, We want you to know that today, right after service, in our outside classroom, we have a discussion group that's ongoing, the 4 Agreements. You're welcome to jump in. You're welcome to go to the bookstore and buy a 4 Agreements book. You're welcome to go to the bookstore and buy 4 Agreements cards, just saying.
Also, another class we'll have coming up, actually starting this Tuesday, is Unity Metaphysics. How many people know what metaphysics is?
Okay.
Yay!
The science of being, yes. Okay.
Yes,
Did I
the
pass?
science of being. Yes, you passed.
Okay, thank you.
And we have many other definitions for metaphysics, but we'll be talking about unity metaphysics. What does that mean? What's the philosophy behind beyond the physical that we bring into manifestation? So join me this Tuesday for the next 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay, another opportunity to buckle your seatbelt, just saying. We have new members class 2 weeks from today, April 7th. It'll be right after service, right here at the front of the sanctuary. If you are interested in becoming a new member at Unity of Mesa or rededicating your membership to Unity of Mesa, we ask that you read the 5 Principles by Ellen Davenport, which is, guess where? In our bookstore. Okay, thank you.
Also, today is the last day if you would like to bring some clothes in for the Women's Ministry Drive for House of Refuge. Delane is here today, and she will be happy to take those donations.
Happy, happy, happy. Well,
yes.
I'd be happy if you would stand as you were able and join us in singing, I am as God created me. Woohoo, in the light and the love and the glory. Yeah, we match.
I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light. In the light, in the love, in
I'm going to put on vestments. It doesn't happen very often, but in a spiritual community, it is always a magnificent, magical, and mystical day when we can participate in the christening of a new light in this world. So I'm going to ask Buddy and Cassie to bring Emerson forward. Come right here in the middle. And he's even awake. So, I mean, isn't this special? Dear friends, this is a significant day in our lives and in the life of this beloved child, Emerson Jean Lowe. We honor Emerson's parents, Buddy and Cassie Lowe. We honor Emerson's grandparents, Shelley and James Catanich, and his great-grandmother, Sandy Moore. Oh, there you are. Yeah. We honor Buddy's best friend, Greg Carpenter, as well as Buddy's two sets of adopted parents, Dave and Delane Collins, and Jim and Susan Rice, all of whom have gathered here along with you and with you online to witness this sacred and celebratory christening. With this ceremony, this extended family is celebrating their joy in having this dear child in their care and dedicating his precious life to expressing his true divine nature. There's not much that we're certain about in this life, but we do know that the more love this child receives, the more love he will return. The more people to whom this child relates, the more balanced and rich his growth will be. The more fruitful experiences he has with others, the wiser he will become. Do we love you to the moon and back? No, we love you more than that. We love you to the desert sands, the mountains, stars, planets, and we love you to the deepest sea and deeper still throughout history. Before beyond we loved you then, we love you now. I know you're looking right at me. We love you when the sun's gone out, the moon's gone home, and all the stars are fully grown. When we can no longer say these words, we'll give them to the wind and to the birds so that they will still be heard. Teach these truths to your Emerson. Teach him he needs nothing exterior to himself to be happy, no person, place, or thing, and that true happiness is found within. Teach him that he is sufficient unto himself. Teach Emerson that he is deeply connected to all life and that he is one with all people and that he is never separate from God. Teach Emerson that he lives in a world of magnificent abundance, that there is enough for everyone, that it is in sharing most, not gathering most, that the most is received. Teach Emerson that there are no conditions. Okay, now he's yawning. That's okay. It's all right. It's long. Too long. There are no conditions to love, that he need not ever worry about losing your love or God's, and that his own love, unconditionally shared, is the greatest gift he can give the world. Teach these things not with your words, but your actions, not with discussion, but demonstration, for it is what you do that Emerson will emulate, and how you are that he will become. And now, all of you who have gathered here as family, will you make this commitment to this beloved child, to Emerson Jean Lowe? Do you promise to trust Emerson enough to tell him the truth and treat him lovingly, gently, with respect in your thoughts, words, and actions, whether in his presence or not? And if so, say we do. Okay. In your every interaction, will you look for and acknowledge the highest and best in Emerson as you surrender to love your own true nature And will your own oneness with God and the nurturing of your relationship as a family always be more important than any issue? And if so, say we do. Okay. And finally, dear family, if anything unlike love comes up, will you hold Emerson in your hearts and listen as he learns to speak, experience, and become responsible for his own reality? Will you be there for and with him, keep communication open, and keep love conscious, active, and present? And if so, as a family, say we do. Okay, and to the congregation, you have a job too. Will you pledge your love and support to this family? Will you always look for and behold the inner light as this beautiful expression of God walks the road of life with us? And will you, through your words, actions, attitudes, and examples, let your own light shine so that he might walk always in the light of truth? And if you will, please say, I do. Okay. In Scripture, oil was used as a medicine, but it was also used as a ritual that something very important, magical, mystical, and spiritual had occurred. So Emerson, now he's smiling. Yeah, no, it was not. I anoint your mind so that you may always be creative in every situation you find yourself in. I anoint your eyes so that you may see the truth. I anoint your ears so that you may always hear words of love. And I anoint your mouth so that you may speak with care, respect, and dignity. I anoint your hands so that you may always know the joy of giving and receiving. And we anoint your feet so that wherever they take you, you know that you are always surrounded by the light of God and enfolded by the love of God and protected by the power of God. For wherever you are, God is. Just as Emerson was planted as a seed first in your heart, in an idea in the mind of God, this seed has begun to grow. In Unity, we don't use water when we christen. We actually use the symbol of the beauty of the rose. And so, Emerson, as a community, we bless you with our love. And we bless you knowing that always that you are in the flow of life, and that as you continue to blossom and grow, that you will always know love. Welcome, Emerson. All righty, and here's this for you. And I invite you to come and get to know Buddy and Cassie's family, who's here with them today. Yay. Amen, amen, amen. We got some flow here. Julie's coming up, and we're going to move into the children's portion.
Katie's here with me. Can you hear me? Yeah, there we go. Oh, wow. Okay, that was just amazing. And also amazing is our youth program that Emerson is now a part of because he's in nursery. And Katie is going to lead us in our affirmation today. And please just read from what you've got there. Oh, you do? You don't? You don't?
I live my vibrant life with gratitude. Say it with me. I live my vibrant life with gratitude.
Thanks, Katie. you want to stay with me? We had a great time with the teens on Friday night, and we've done some planning. We threw marshmallows around the backyard. It was great, so thanks to all those kids that came along. Our next activity on our youth calendar is next Sunday, and this is for all of us to join in with. So after the service, come along. The kids are going to have a visit from Easter Bunny, and we are also going to have an egg hunt for the kids. So if you have kids, please bring along their baskets. I'll have a few spare, but if you bring their own, that will be awesome. And it's going to be a really beautiful time of intergenerational connection and celebrating of new life. So we'll see you all there. And that brings us up to date. So let's have a blessing of our children before they go out to class. Children, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are.
You embark on a new journey. May your travels never end. Keep heading in the same direction. Though the track may sometimes bend, let happiness be your destination. Let your trademark be your smile. Enjoy every footstep. May you revel in new discoveries. Greet each fresh dawn with pleasure. May you find your inner wealth and know the true meaning of treasure.
To float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. What was I made for? Taking a drive, I was an idea, looked so alive. Turns out I'm not real, something you paid for. What was I made for? Cause I don't know how to feel, but I wanna try. I don't know how to feel, but someday I might. Someday I When did it end? All the enjoyment. I'm sad again. don't know how to feel, but someday I might. Someday I might. Think I forgot how to be happy. Something I'm not, but something I can be. Something I wait for. Something I'm made for. Something I'm made for.
Jackson Tyler and Stefan Madenloff. Have you wondered what you were made for? Did you ever have that question that shows up in your mind? I'm getting a... Move that thing. Okay, let me move this thing. Excuse me. Oops. But have you ever wondered what you were made for? Another way that we look at this is, what is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? And then all those feelings, what do I do with all these feelings that emerge in my life? How do I handle them? How do I navigate them? Oftentimes people will say, how do you manage them? But, you know, we manage things. Quite often, some of us try to manage people. And... And what do we do when that happens? We just love them. But we could do that for ourselves too. When we start trying to manage ourselves, we could just love ourselves. And we can just know that within us is a strength that gives us the possibility. Within us is the wisdom that gives us the understanding of how to do so. Some of you may know that it is Palm Sunday. We're celebrating it quietly up here with a palm frond. Metaphysically, a palm tree is this physical representation, and that's why I wanted it up here. It's a physical representation of the inner strength that's already within us, and that strength is unlimited. But we have to recognize it. We have to recognize it. So as you look at this palm tree, I invite you to recognize the strength that is already within each and every one of us, that is available to us to move through our life in the way that we choose, to draw on it from within, to see it reflected to us from without, and to know that as we move through life, it's available to us. It's available to us to know what we're made of. It's available to us to know our purpose. It's available to us to learn how to navigate, not manage our feelings, to not make any part of ourselves wrong, but instead to open our hearts and minds to embrace the wholeness, the allness of us. Eric Butterworth talks about God as the allness of everything, and that we are an eachness in that allness. Well, since it's Palm Sunday, I want to tell you a little story. Jesus was moving from where he was down into Jerusalem. It was Passover. There was a feast that was going to happen at the temple, and he and his disciples were taking a journey to attend Passover. And they got close to Jerusalem in a place called Bethpage, and he sent 2 disciples to pick up a donkey. Now, in that culture, if you rode into the city on a donkey, you were declaring yourself as king. basically. And real kings don't like somebody else that they don't perceive as a king to declare themselves as king. So you can imagine the tension that that's already setting up. And Jesus told his disciples, when you find the donkey, bring it to me. And if anybody asks you a question, tell them the master is going to use it. And they'll simply say, okay, take it. And so that happened. The two disciples ran into this guy that says, what are you doing with my donkey? I mean, can you imagine if somebody came and got your car? And you would say, what are you doing with my car? And they said, well, the master's going to use it. Can you imagine what that would be like? Because what we try to do metaphysically is put ourselves in the story. We call it myeutics. We put ourselves in the story. But in this case, there's work cars, so they used a donkey. Jesus got on that donkey, and he rode into Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a place of peace. It's a place of peace. So metaphysically, Jesus was riding into peace. And what happened on the way was that he was riding into peace. All of these people started shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Metaphysically, what that means is that it's the joy. Hosanna is the joy that occurs, that moves up within us when we have overcome error thinking. What is error thinking? It's our sense of being separate from God. So that joy that rises up within us when we have overcome that sense of separation. So here's all these people who are basically dancing in the streets. They're taking off their cloaks and they're laying them down in front of this donkey that Jesus is riding on. And there is a celebration. There's a celebration moving into peace. Can you imagine in your life being that triumphant? That you are celebrating the movement from this moment into the next moment, which is a moment of peace? Can you imagine that? Think about what that would feel like for you. Can you feel your heart open up? Can you feel joy arising within you? Can you have a sense of wonder of how you're going to continue to move forward? Can you have a sense of, I'm celebrating this moment in pure joy? Think about the last time you celebrated a moment in pure joy. We had one right here. We had one right here. Pure joy of the amazement, the wonder, the coming forth of life. Pure joy at the curiosity of what is going to unfold next. Pure joy at how do I take this peace that I am moving into, draw upon my palm tree, my inner palm tree, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have the strength within me already to navigate the world in front of me so that I can continue to experience that peace, that joy, that harmony. I can know, as Jesus knew, who I am. I don't have to ask what am I made of. I don't have to ask what my purpose is, because I know to be that light of the world, to be the presence of God in all moments, to be that which flows through us, that is moving in this world in what feels individually, but not, because quantumly we are one. We are connected. That my actions have an impact on you, and your actions have an impact on me, and our actions have an impact on this spiritual community. And our spiritual community's actions have an impact on the world. We see these ripple effects that go out. This is our inner journey. Charles Fillmore says, there is divine goodness at the root of all existence. Take a breath into that. That's a big statement. There is divine goodness at the root of all existence. Many stifle it for years. I certainly did. I stifled it for a lot of years. maybe for lifetimes. He says ages, but maybe for lifetimes. But eventually its day comes, and there is a day of reckoning. Now, we often think of that day of reckoning as a bad thing, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. This is the law of universal balance. It's an equilibrium of being. My day of reckoning came one day when I was home on a Saturday night flipping through channels. I didn't have a VCR. Well, I did have a VCR. I didn't watch it much. I was flipping through channels, and there was this man on the TV speaking, and it caught my attention in just seconds because I'm a good channel flipper. I learned in my family. But there was this guy speaking, and he caught my attention, and I thought, wow, I like what he has to say. And I listened. And it took me a few minutes to realize I was actually watching a church service. I hadn't been to church for a number of years, but I was watching a church service. And it was a unity church service, which I eventually figured out. And I realized, well, that church is about a 20-minute walk from my house. And I pass it almost every day coming home from work. That's interesting. And I like what he said. And as soon as they got to the music, I turned it off and I was done. I went about my Saturday night business. And I say Saturday night because it was on the public TV channel. It's called Olelo in Hawaii. But I had watched almost the full amount of that talk, something very unusual for me. It had captured my attention, but more than that, it captured something in my heart. It was that day of reckoning for me. I was looking for something. I wasn't really sure what I was looking for, but I had been doing things like spring forest qigong. I'd been doing meditation. I'd worked my way up to about an hour a day of meditation. I'd taken numerous energy healing classes by this time. I was looking for something. And I found that something in that TV, in the message from that Unity Church. And I began to record it with my VCR and watch it later. And then one day I had another day of reckoning, because reckoning comes in layers for us. And I thought, well, maybe I'll go. I don't have any plans this morning. I'm not meeting any friends. Maybe I'll go. And so I walked through the door, and something opened in my heart. I cried through that service. I cried all the way through that service. Luckily, people sitting beside me handed me tissues. And then a couple of weeks later, I walked through the door of that church again, and this woman said, "Hi, Nickie." I didn't know who she was. I eventually learned, and it happened to be who we know as Reverend Mindy. But she remembered my name 2 or 3 weeks later, and that caught my attention too. I belonged somewhere. You know, when people call your name, you know you belong somewhere. So what began to happen was that law of universal balance started coming into play. It began in the moment that I had watched the talk part of the service on TV, and it began again in the moment that I walked in. And the next time I walked in, it was a couple of weeks before I even went again, because I used to make plans with people and my friends on Sunday mornings. And do you know, within 6 months, I was living differently. I had a good life, but I gave up that good life in a way for a much better life, and I stopped making plans on Sunday morning to do things with people, and I started shifting them to Sunday afternoons after church because I wanted to go, because somewhere in there I began to open up to my divine goodness. Somewhere in there I began to put away the doubt. Somewhere in there I began to find my inner palm tree. In Hawaii, there's lots of outer expressions of palm trees, but I began to find my inner palm tree. I began to experience the joy that I believe Jesus was experiencing as he came into peace. And I began to experience a different level of peace in my life, a peace that I hadn't understood before. but I continue to experience it in greater degrees now as I live these principles. John D. Martini says, we all have the potential for greatness and the capacity to leave a legacy, but so often we dishonor our true and radiant selves and those we love by not giving ourselves permission to shine. In walking through the doors of that spiritual community and continuing to go and continuing to allow my life to unfold, I begin to give myself permission to shine. When I first started volunteering at the church, I either ran sound or the camera in the back. I didn't want to be up front. I just didn't want to be up front. I didn't want people to see me. It wasn't that I didn't like myself, but I didn't think, that wasn't the picture I had of myself. But what began to happen was I would begin to be invited into different things and invited into being up front, and slowly I began to really love it, and now it's hard to get me down. Because I learned that I had permission to shine. Have any of you ever had the experience of feeling like that life tries to put the bushel over, your light, and that life engages you in a way that you start to pull in your light because, well, if my light wasn't so big and bold and bright, nobody would see it, and so there would be nothing that occurred that would create difficulty in my life. I'll just sort of like navigate without anybody being upset, without anybody noticing me. Have any of you ever tried to do that? Does it work? No, because of what this is, we all have that potential for greatness because of that seed of goodness that Charles Fillmore talks about, that is our essence. And it's the same essence that Jesus had as Jesus moved into Jerusalem. He knew who he was. He knew that his light shone brightly. He had been engaging in acts of miracles, changing water into wine. He had begun to do healings. Jesus, I think there are 33 healings recorded in the Gospels. The last act was to raise Lazarus, his good friend, from the dead. And as they were moving to Jerusalem, the people who were following along with Jesus were telling people, do you know what this man can do? Do you know who he is? But most importantly, Jesus knew and fully understood his oneness with God, and that's where his wisdom came from. That's where his power came from. That's where his strength came from. That's where his spiritual intelligence came from. That's where his love came from, that knowingness. And so his invitation to us is to know the same about us. In John 12, it says, Jesus is speaking to a crowd, and he says, you'll do greater things than I have ever done. You will do greater things. So what stops us from doing those greater things? Well, some people say we fail to see ourselves as whole. Been there, done that, still show up there sometimes. But the difference now is that I'm able to move through that part of me that gets so mad at myself with greater ease. I'm able to use my spiritual tools to come back to my sense of wholeness. I'm able to remember my divinity. Louise Hay tells a story, and there's a clip on YouTube about it. And Louise Hay was a powerful manifester, and she was a powerful teacher. And she says when she starts to spiral down, one of her favorite things in life was yellow roses. Yellow roses. So when she starts to spiral down, she starts thinking yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses. That's her affirmation. When I started taking piano as an adult, I started listening to the music in my head. And when I would be practicing a certain piece, and I noticed myself criticizing myself, I would bring that music forward into my memory and play it in my head So that instead of critical thinking, instead of blaming thinking, I was thinking musical notes. Da 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 da. And I would just do it over and over. Or I'd think whatever song was going on, and I started to look at more powerful songs, which is in part why we sing songs such as I am as God created me. You are as God created you. We are to remember. And then as we sing them together, we open our hearts to each other, and it's like this energetic weaving of our oneness begins to happen as we sing. That's scientifically documented. And so what we can do is, as we sing together, as we pray together, as we come together on a Sunday morning or any other time that we come together, we can develop habits that, instead of habits that do not support our dreams, habits that do not support our growth, we can develop habits that say to us, yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses. We can develop habits that call forth our inner music. We can develop habits that allow ourselves to shine. And your habit will be unique and individualized to you, whatever that is. But I invite you and encourage you to really think about, what do I love? And the next time you find yourself in that critical thinking place, bring forth what you love, so that is greater than the critical thought. That the energy of what you love, in this case, the energy of yellow roses, or the strength of the palm tree, is greater than the criticism, or the self-doubt, or the self-blame. Allow it to be greater. Allow it to be more to the forefront of your mind. And don't focus on the negative. You don't have to go back and say, well, am I doing it? All you have to do is look forward. Look forward. Focus on that thing that you love, and everything else will fall away. And we'll begin to shift habits from those that don't support our dreams, that don't support our light, to habits that support our dreams, that support our life. Yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses. Or da 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 da. Whatever works for you, are you willing to see yourself as triumphant, as king of your own life, as queen of your own life, in such a way that you ride into peace triumphantly? Now, personally, I don't want a bunch of people throwing their coats down for me, but maybe that's what you want. And if that's what you want, I hope that's what you get. But when we begin to move through these things, to shift our failure to see ourselves as whole and stand in our power, it takes power, it takes courage to see ourselves as whole. It takes power and it takes courage to see the world as whole, even when we look around us and see things that we don't consider good. But when we can remember Charles Fillmore's words, when we can remember that we are the ones that bring forth the goodness, that we are the ones that can shift somebody's day by shining our light on them, then we're standing in our power. When we remember that we have the capacity to shift from thinking that does not serve us to thinking that supports us, then we are bringing peace into our lives and into the world. Does it take discipline? Oh yeah, it does. But this is what we gather together in part with spiritual community, so that we can be the mirror, we can be the reflection for each other of the truth of ourselves. We can be the reflection of each other for our divinity. We can be the reflection for each other of the love that we are. And we can have a lot of fun doing it. Rasher Ryan Raymond says, your comfort zone is a place where you keep yourself in self-illusions, and nothing can grow there. But your potentiality can expand only when you think and grow out of that zone. What I'm asking of you, what I'm inviting you into, what I'm inviting myself into is to step out of the familiar, which is usually where our comfort zone is, to step into our uncomfortable zone, to step into new behaviors, to step into new ways of being, to step into saying to somebody, I'm not feeling so good today, would you bless me? That takes courage. That takes vulnerability. And then to know that the person we ask says, of course, let me bless you. I bless you with all the good that you can receive in this moment. I bless you with the knowingness of all the strength that you have within you. And I will hold that knowingness for you until you can know it for yourself. Until you can know it for yourself. That's what we do when we pray with someone. That's the meaning, the true meaning of Palm Sunday, is how do we have an inner journey that leads us to our wholeness? Well, first of all, we have to step out of our comfort zone. We have to utilize the spiritual tools that we have. And then we share them with each other. We share them with each other. We say, thank you for being here today. Your presence makes a difference. Can you breathe that in? Thank you for being here today. Your presence makes a difference. Philosophers say a mind stretched can never return to that place it was. Our love expanded can never be smaller than it is. We might not be bringing it forth, but we still have that wide capacity to do so. Let's make a commitment to ourselves, and we don't have to do it out loud, to learn to step outside of our comfort zone and to share with each other what we mean to each other. To notice when we're complaining. I know we don't do that very often, but to notice when we're complaining and say, oh my goodness, let me shift the conversation. To notice when we're talking about somebody in a way that's not necessarily in their highest light, that shining light, and say, oh, let me rewind this and do something different. Let me just rewind. I'm going to hit the rewind button, and let me say something about that person that I really appreciate. Because then we're allowing our light to shine, and we're actually inviting others to allow their light to shine also. We are on that inner journey, and I believe that journey to Jerusalem for Jesus, he was a model, a universal teacher of how to live. And I think that when we look in a broader perspective than just the concrete of riding on a donkey into a city, when we look at the movement of peace that he had triumphed in knowing who he was, he knew his capacity and his realization of God. That's the invitation. That's the invitation to be that capacity, to be that realization, to be peace in the world, so that as we ride into peace, we are also being peace, and peace comes together and simply expands exponentially. I often give you an affirmation. Today, I'm going to ask you to do an activity. Visualize yourself as a person of confidence, assurance, value, worth, and an individual that is unconditionally loved and unquestionably accepted. Let's take a moment and do that, and in meditation, I'm going to bring this back to you. But in this moment, let's take a moment. In this moment will be the moment of visualizing ourselves as a person of confidence. Notice in your body what that would feel like. I am a person of confidence. Say it with me. I am a person of confidence. I feel assured. I am valued. I know my own worth. And I am unconditionally loved. And unquestionably accepted. Feel that. Isn't that what we seek? And that which we're seeking is actually seeking us now. It's available within us. It's already there. It's up to us to bring it forth. If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to you. Bringing it forth, celebrating it triumphantly, knowing that we have that confidence and that assurance that we are of value and worth, knowing that we are unconditionally loved. Maybe there's somebody who's not loving us, they're more conditionally love us, but that one person does not have to define our experience of love, because we are truly unconditionally loved and unquestionably accepted. Breathe into that. And we're going to sing our way into meditation. So as we begin to move into a time of meditation, visualize yourself as a person of confidence. Let that image come forth in your mind. What does it feel like? How do you stand? How do you sit? How do you move? How do you breathe? You are that person. It's within you. All we ever have to do is bring it out. Visualize yourself a person that feels assured. Assured in this moment, in every moment. How do you breathe? How do you stand? How do you feel? The feeling gets the blessing. Allow yourself to bless you, to bless yourself with that feeling of assurance. Knowing your value, knowing your worth. Think of an instance in your life where you feel like you didn't do that interaction very well. I have a few of them. And bring that sense of confidence, that sense of assurance, that sense of value, that sense of worth to that moment and mark it complete. It is complete. It's complete for whatever choices that brought that moment into being at that time. And know that that moment was that moment. And we can step out of our comfort zone and let go of any guilt, any shame, any sadness, knowing that somehow there was perfection and only goodness in that moment. And we don't have to worry about what the other person thought, because right now we are centered in ourselves, seeing our value and our worth, experiencing our own self-love, loving ourselves unconditionally, and receiving that unconditional love from the universe. Knowing that as we step outside of our comfort zone, we too, because we are love, have that capacity to love unconditionally. We have that capacity to stop managing and begin to navigate. Oh, there is some open space for me to flow through. Oh, that way is blocked. Let me just turn and go another way. Let me be like a river that flows with ease, moving gently or rapidly, whatever is your pace, moving at your own essence pace. And as you think about yourself, say quietly to yourself, I am unquestionably accepted. I am unquestionably accepted. You are unquestionably accepted. And on this beautiful day, where we are experiencing the energy of life, where we are bathed in love, are you open to accepting that love? Are you willing to receive it in its fullness? So that as you move forth from this place today, that you know in your heart, and you know in all the different brains that we have in our body, and you know in every cell of your body, that you are unconditionally loved and unquestionably accepted. You are moving into peace, inner peace, and you are radiating peace outwardly. Peace. And greater things you have the capacity to do. Let's continue to do them. Continue to step outside of our comfort zone and continue to be the light of the world that we are, allowing it to fully shine. Just take a breath into that. With each breath, we are inspiring ourselves. And with the next breath that you take, begin to come back to this room, to this time, and to this place. Feeling your feet on the floor, feeling the chair supporting you, feeling the back of the chair, feeling the very hairs on the top of your head. Allowing and knowing, moving into being.
We are abundantly blessed at Unity Mesa. We know that the Spirit, the Christ, the love that lives within us, lives within all of us, within me, within you. I'm going to try to be as much as I can be in this room, see all the people, the radiance of love, the radiance of God, the radiance of Christ in all of us, in our hearts and minds. And when we act from that place, when we give from Spirit, we know that that love continues and prospers and has more and more abundance, and there is an unlimited amount of it. And so there are many ways to give at Unity Mesa. You can give online, the Vanco app. text, mail, and in person. And we can also mail a check, and you can go to unitymesa.org. So with me, from that place of love, that abundance, the Christ source within us, where all things flow, let's say the blessing together. Divine love through me and as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and my awareness of all that I am, and so it is.
Everything has its season, everything has its time. Show me a reason and I'll soon show you a rhyme. Cats sit on the windowsill, children sit in the snow. Why do I feel I don't fit in anywhere I go? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Every man has his daydreams, every man has his goals. People like the way dreams have of sticking to the soul. Thunderclouds have their lightning, nightingales have their song. And don't you see that I want my life to be something more than long? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. So many men seem destined to settle for something small, but I won't rest until I know I'll have it all. So don't ask where I'm going, just listen when I've gone. And far away you'll hear me singing softly to the dawn. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. The sky.
Delicious, delicious. We thank you for your expression, for your being generous with this spiritual community, for you truly are the ones that energize, enlighten, and empower the world. Together we bless the offering by saying,
We are one with the opulence of God. We are now in the flow of infinite abundance, and we give thanks for the prosperity that is ours by divine right.
We have chaplains who are available to pray with you. Thank you guys very much. We have chaplains that are available to pray with you. I see Sharon already has her stole on, so Sharon's going to stand, Audrey Burke's going to stand, Shirley Kemper standing. If you would, and John will be right back, so if any of you would like prayer support today, celebration, challenges, a recognition or an affirmation that you are unquestionably accepted and unconditionally loved, these chaplains would be so honored to pray with you. We have hospitality inside because outside is so cold. So that's right there in the community room. The bookstore is open. Can I tell a joke?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Well,
It's really bad.
uh-oh.
So this little Billy, he has a sore throat, and he tells his parents and his family, I can't go to church today. And they say, well, you're old enough to stay home. So he stays home, and when his family comes home, all his brothers and sisters and his mom and dad, each one of them has a palm frond. And then he says, wow, what happened? And then the brothers and the sisters and the mom and dad are so excited. They're like, well, it's Palm Sunday, and we each got a palm because, you know, Jesus came into Jerusalem, and we all put our palms down. And little Billy says, figures, the one Sunday I don't go to church, he shows up.
Well, thank you for showing up as
So
the
thank
Christ
you for showing
you
up
are.
today. You and your inner palm frond, your strength and the beauty of who you are.
Have the best week ever, being your confident, assured self, knowing who and what you are.
Find your quiet.
Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. The sky. Wow. You said you want a reprise?